All right, Chief, this hangout is on air. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Breaking the Base. Thank you for joining me and Ken as we discuss movie remakes.
There are a lot of remakes. And there's a lot of remakes even in planning stages right now, too.
I want to ask you something about before we dive into like our best and worst and everything. What, in your opinion, constitute what is a remake? What is a movie remake?
A remake to me is taking the original story and either reorganizing it, re-updating it, re-imaging it, still keeping true to the original story. But a lot of times we see the remakes, they kind of throw a little left or right in there to kind of make it exactly like it was.
Yeah.
Kind of justify its existence. But the concept is basically the same.
You know what?
So you can use, like, let's say, like, for example, RoboCop. You know, we had RoboCop back in, geez, I don't know how long ago, forever.
Yeah.
Was it 2000? No, I'm sorry, 1987.
Yeah.
1987, RoboCop comes out. And here in 2014, they bring back RoboCop. We have almost similar storylines, the same concept, the same ideas, but re-imaged, better effects, better graphics, longer movie, better quality. Does it make RoboCop any better that we knew from 87 to 2014?
I think I constitute that one more as a reboot, because even though it was an origin story, everything was completely different.
Well, the same ideas, same thing, same concept, just a little bit different on how it affected it. I mean, you can say it could be a reboot.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's kind of iffy.
When it comes to remakes, this is how I like to see it. A remake is a story being retold. If it keeps 80% of the original content, but maybe change maybe 20% of it, that's like a remake. And I think a reboot is if 80% of the original content, thing else is 80%. You know, the new stuff is 80%.
Totally off the bar kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. So in your opinion, what are the rules for making a good movie remake?
You know, people have their thoughts and images of certain stories. You know, they know that, let's say, Aladdin. You know, let's say you had that movie Aladdin, and we knew that Aladdin was a peasant or whatever in the case. He ended up stumbling upon the storage warehouse of the Knights of Arabia, and he, you know, ended up with all this wealth. But in all the re-imagings we've seen, you know, from like Disney to the 1920s and 30s, you know, a completely different mindset. You get the same thing, but the actions that happen are completely different. We never had a princess mentioned in the original series. We added all kind of new bad guys. We added all kind of new, you know, from comedic to more serious roles. We've always had variations of the story. The core is still the same, but it's all the added, as you say, that 80% that just came out of nowhere. We'll just throw something in there and see what happens.
Okay. All right, I can see where you're going with this. I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag for me, because sometimes when they have remakes, I don't mind. I don't mind it sometimes if it's almost completely rehashed, but I would like to see if it's going to be a remake that it's kind of like, okay, like for example, the Total Recall.
Yes,
I love the original, but I do also love the new one too. It was in a totally different, like the whole setting had changed, but for the majority of the movie, the story was the same. It just the setting that kind of changed a bit.
Yeah, so instead of we're not talking about aliens and Mars. We're dealing with a corporation, still having a corporation, but trying to control, which was kind of the original premise. Was they were trying to control everything. They wanted to control the whole planet, and including that potential of oxygen or whatever the case was.
Yep.
How about, like, say, The Day the Earth Stood Still?
I didn't see the original one, but I did like the remake.
Did a lot of story change in there.
Oh, they
Because
did?
in the original 1951, that's a long time, long before I was even born. That movie came out where aliens showed up, trying to prevent the Earth from destroying itself,
Yeah.
and the main character's opinion changed to saying they're not unworthy, but they're worthy. But stuff was already in play, but it was just using the big robot. But in
Yeah.
the newer movie, they used the little nanites,
Yeah.
and they were actually wiping the Earth. They were mowing it. They were cleaning clock,
They was
and
saying
they were
Earth
and they
and
were saving, and they were saving every. The alien races were saving like a lot of the animals and stuff
yeah.
like that to put them back. But after they got rid of the human population and everything that was humanity would be mopped off, and then they just leave them there intact.
Yeah.
But you added all that story that you never saw before. It was completely that was more of I was almost like your 80-20 theory of remakes.
Yep.
Not necessarily a reboot, but in this case a remake.
But they brought back the original concept, even though they introduced new elements to it while in concept.
Yeah, they just extended and expanded the story that you really never saw before because one, it was just too costly in 1951. Most of just kind of like watching like the old Twilight Zones where you have kind of cheesy effects, but for the most part, it's theater of your mind.
Yeah.
They didn't have, it was good story writing is what captivated you, and you used your imagination to kind of fill in the gaps. And then from what they could create, whether it was, physical prop or even animated in some cases, they brought it on board.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
How
Okay.
about another one here for you? Planet of the Apes.
I love the new ones. I love them.
I don't like as much.
I think they're more constituted as reboots, kind of though.
Well, they took the core. We know that the apes did emerge, but they went way off the board there.
Okay, all right, we'll go ahead, but since they're so closely tied together, let's just go ahead and do both remakes and reboots.
Well, it's so much because it's really, there's a fine line here between a remake and a reboot. We could say we see reboots with Spider-Man, with Andrew Garfield, and the newer guys. You see reboots in that, and I can understand that. We're taking a completely new new person, bringing them on board. Would you consider the Batman movies a reboots? Because you're changing the main character, but you're still keeping the original, the Batman storyline going.
See, this is why I consider them reboots, even though they do start off with the same origin story. The whole plot of the movies be different. Like in the first one, he had to stop this mobster who became the Joker, right? And then in Batman Begins, he didn't have to deal with the Joker, even though we still had the origin story for him losing his parents.
Correct.
It went into the Rise Out Ghouls, Scarecrow, League of Shadows.
Yeah.
And then
still within the realm, but different platforms.
Yeah.
And same thing with well, I don't see that. Yeah. But I think each character or actor who's played has had a different setup, a different style, a different setup, a different story, even though the same core story is there, but how it is done and the characters themselves are different. Even visually, the movies are all different.
Yeah.
Because you got the cartoonies, you got the extremes, you got the real hardcores. It's all flexible in there.
I want to ask you this. Have you seen the original Fright Night?
So which one?
The original one.
Planet of the Apes or Batman?
I was asking about Fright Night.
Oh yes, Fright Night. Yes,
Did
I
you
saw the
see?
original.
Did you see the remake?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let me get your thoughts on because it's your thoughts out now. Go ahead and give you mine.
It was much different. Um, I think it was, I don't know, to me it wasn't as cheesy as the original. I mean, it had some of those moments in there,
Yeah,
but the style of movie was different. The storytelling was different. Colin Farrell was a very interesting character as playing it. I thought he was a lot creepier than the original movie.
yeah.
They still tied in, the best friend getting, knocked out or taken out. But I think it was a very well done re-kick off of the series.
Yeah.
And I was hoping they would do a part 2. But,
They did, but and because it's 4 in all, and they did one in 2013. Even though it's not really a direct sequel, it's like they rebooted it, and it was an interesting premise. Even though the execution did suck.
Oh, I just thought of something. Since you're talking Fright Night, what about Dracula?
Okay, now when we say Dracula, which Dracula are we going with? Because there's been several.
Yes, that's true. I should have been a little more specific. Well, because we had like Dracula 2000.
The one thing I liked about Dracula 2000 was Gerard Butler. Like he was the type of Dracula you could tell like a woman would like fall head over heels for him. Like he had the look down pat. So I will give him that.
It was the more newer version.
Dracula Untold.
Yes.
See, as far as the Dracula character portrayal in that film, I liked it. As far as like the story, that it could have been done a bit better. Because of that movie, they did kind of portray him more as like a superhero. And yeah. I would have liked to have seen more of like political manipulation and stuff like that. A little bit more subtle. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I think it was a very interesting twist how they did it and set it up. Basically almost like made him like an anti-hero, really.
Yeah.
You know he's a bad guy. He knows at some point in time he accepts what he is and what he can do. Not by choice, but for what he feels is best.
And they did a great job of making him a tragic villain, like a tragic character.
Exactly.
Because I did care for him and his family.
Yeah, you're like, oh man, I can't believe they did that. What the hell? And then boom, here it is. Here's the story. And then at the end, you're like, oh, okay. Well, let's see what happens. and sadly, I don't think they've ever done a second one either. I think they talked about it. I was trying to see if there was anything about the second one. There's note of a second one, but nothing's come out yet.
It's supposed to be a part of. They're doing something with Marvel where it's supposed to be like all of the movie monsters are supposed to come together in one movie.
Yeah, they kind of did that a long time ago, though. It was like the first time. What was that movie?
I think I know what you're talking about. Where they had Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein,
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
Van Helsing.
Didn't they have to like fight some kids or something like that?
Yeah, it was the kids that were stopping them.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And that was I liked that movie. That was pretty cool. But I think that was the first time they had all the classic movie monsters together in one movie in like 60 years or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what kind of made that movie unique. But it was actually a fun movie. It had its moments like, ooh, it kind of creeped me out. But and then, it was fun because it was the kids. It's almost kind of like the Goonies with old classic monsters.
Yes.
And it was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I haven't seen it in a while. Dang, what is it called? I can't remember.
We're so bad about movies.
I wanted to know, ask you about this. Have you ever seen Let Me In?
I have not, but the other half has, and they said it scared the crap out of them.
That's a Swedish version. I think it's called Let Me In, but then they have the American version called Let the Right One In.
Is it the little girl that's a vampire?
Yeah.
If I remember right?
Yes. And both of them are good. Like, I couldn't tell you which one was better. Like, both of them were good.
Yeah, I read about them. I just never really watched them. but the folks I knew who saw it was like, whoa,
Yeah, it
very
was
different, very something you didn't see coming. And
it,
even the U.S. version, I mean, was even creepier,
yes, it
and
was.
set it up very well. And again, they kind of left that open for a cliffhanger, or not a cliffhanger, a sequel.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. That's like one of those the remakes where I'm like, okay, the remake and the original were good.
I hope they
Um,
never remake Star Wars, ever.
oh, they won't. They just gonna keep expanding on it.
Yeah, as long as they expand it but not remake it, we'll be all right.
All right, what about Clash of the Titans?
I was iffy on that one. Um, Again, we talk 20, 30 years difference. We go from little mechanical characters, stop motion animation to full CGI.
Yeah,
Your Kraken is much more dangerous, much more scaled, larger, creepier. Your visual effects are much better. A little bit of variation on the story because they
yeah.
added the Jinn in there, and they added well, Medusa was in the original. They didn't have the little bird. I can't remember his name, but they had him
I
for
can't
like a
remember
brief moment in there
the
as tribute.
owl. Yeah,
Yeah, the
little
little
owl.
owl.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I think the second movie was I would say a lot better. They added a lot more to it. I mean, you still can't knock a classic movie, but I think in that case, that one was a nice remake and did the series very well.
So yeah, I like the. I did. When I was young, coming up, I did see the original Clash of the Titans, and I did like the remake, especially how they made everything bigger. Like, think about it. In the original one, they had the little stop motion scorpion fight with the scorpions,
Exactly.
but then in Clash of the Titans, they had to fight giant scorpions.
Yeah, huge, monstrous ones that came from Calabash,
Yeah,
and they still came from the same character. Calabash was different.
yeah.
His origin was quite a bit different
Yeah,
than the original. Of course, we added those Jinn, the basically the desert sorcerers that came in there. That was a nice, interesting touch, and I had to actually look up. And it was funny at that time. I was watching a series called Supernatural, and they had a Jinn show up in there.
yeah.
So it was kind of interesting, and there were a couple other shows that had Jinns show up in it just out of the blue. And I think it was just all a tie-in or a relation to seeing that in the Clash of the Titans. And I liked it when they did the second one, too. The second one added a whole lot more as well.
I think the second one felt more compelling because of what was going on.
You had to fight the Titans and all the other little critters that come along with it. You learned a lot more.
And then there was, like I said, there was a lot more depth to the character of Perseus.
Yes. They brought a lot more to the table than just what you saw in the original movie, and even in the first movie, they added more. Let's see, what's some of the other ones that we saw in here?
What about? In fact, this is one of my favorite remakes, King Kong.
I did not see the newest version of that. I like the original. Well, actually, there was a couple even remakes even before that, though.
They had the original stop motion. They had the one with the guy was in the suit. And it was the guy with the suit, and it was kind of like a mix of the guy with the suit with mechanical. And then
there was
a sequel to that one.
Yeah, there was quite a few for a while there. It's just like Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, Godzilla's Godzilla, but then they keep adding to it and just making the story, bringing out more of the story that you really never seen. But I lived in Japan for a long time, so Godzilla was like everywhere. and then you keep running into, excuse me, all the different add-ons and stuff, more characters, more creatures. And King Kong, like we're talking 1933, 1976, 2005. There's been so many versions of the movie, and each still kind of keeps a little bit of the original, but they kind of changed the story a lot more.
Yeah.
Oh hell, there's a lot more. That was just a touching. There was one in 1976 too. So, I mean, a story that's classic, but it's been retold and reimaged over the many, 60 plus years, 67 years. So it's been a very interesting story. Skull Island. I think there was a tie-in even with Godzilla at one time with King Kong.
Yeah, they had a movie where they fought each other, which is what they're doing now. They're trying to build up to that now as a remake. So that's pretty cool. The 2005 King Kong, I got to tell you, was phenomenal. Probably the only issue with the movie that I had was it was too long. It was like 3 hours long. Yeah, and it seems like the first hour was to give exposition on the characters and stuff. And, nobody cares about the characters like that. But
well, see, that's what they're trying to do. I mean, a lot of these reimagings and remakes, the original movie that you saw, like, we were talking Clash of Titans.
Yeah.
Perseus. Hey, there he is. He's the son of a god. Okay, there you go. And then they took in the second reimaging, or the reboot, basically, here's Perseus, and here's his whole background. How he became, who he became, why he became. Boom.
Yeah.
And so you develop the back character, or the backstory of the character, and then we went into the big storyline. So, I can see what they were trying to do with King Kong, maybe give you, because even in the original King Kong, you had a very brief introduction to the characters, very brief.
Yeah, you know what, you're right. You're right.
On Skull Island, and you get more about the island is a character.
Which they did
you had the Tyrannosauruses, and they brought that story out. And then you got the Godzilla thing going on. And then they tried to develop the relationship between some of our main characters and King Kong as a tragic story, just being an animal taken out of its own zone. So.
Yeah, they did a great job of fleshing out Skull Island. Like, Skull Island felt alive. Like, the people that went to that island to save that woman, like the guys and stuff, like, they had to fight for their lives on that island. And I did really enjoy that.
Yeah, because the island is, a living character in this case, because it's got all these things, all these different elements on the island.
I recommend don't wait up watching that movie. Watch it. You will enjoy it. Especially the relationship between Kong and the woman. It's great seeing it because they did so much. The visuals was great. Like fantastic. Like, he looked so real. And they actually gave him more, like, he felt like a gorilla, but he felt really smart too. And you can see that he had this, like, spirituality to the character. So they did a great job when it came to that. And it was emotional in some parts. But they also had some very fast-paced, action-packed parts too.
Yeah, you gotta have that in there.
I don't want to spoil it for you. But the whole part where he had to fight when he climbed that tower, at the end of the movie, all the movies, he ends up, climbing a tower.
Yeah, he ends up climbing up on a Sears Tower, or not Sears Tower, but yes, the tall building on the end.
Yeah, that hands down was one of the best sequences. It was like, dang, that's tight. So as far as, like, remakes go, that one was one of the best ones I've seen. I still do enjoy the original, the one that came out, and I think in the 80s, with the man in the guy in the suit.
Yeah, there was I think it was 76-ish.
Yeah, 70s. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sitting here looking for the one of the things I saw earlier when I was looking around. I was like, no, Little Shop of Horrors is one of them other ones too.
I love Little Shop of Horrors. I haven't seen the original one, but that's one of my favorites.
See more?
That's one of my all-time favorites. I want to get your opinion on this. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Do not like the new one at all. No. I could not jump into the Johnny Depp version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I couldn't. I don't know why. I think the Gene Wilder version has always been, granted, it was the only one that was there, but I just could not jump into it. I couldn't. And the whole him and his dad thing. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What the heck are they doing?
I'm all for character, exposition and stuff, but I'm with you on that one. That was kind of
It was too freaking weird.
It felt like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss is another one of those movies. I liked the visual of the Cat in the Hat. He was funny. I liked Thing 1, Thing 2. They were funny. But if you really watch the Dr. Seuss movie, it wasn't made for kids. There's some stuff in there that I just caught it the other day, just sitting there flipping through channels, and it was just happened to be on, and I saw it one time, okay, whoopie-doo, and then I saw it again, and I'm like, what? Did he just say that? There's a lot of slipping in the adult content in there under the guise of child humor. But let's stray back to Charlie Factory. Yeah, the original for me just is something that would be difficult to reproduce the same feelings. I mean, granted, when the movie was made, it was a different time frame, different time period, yes. And then they brought in this new Chocolate Factory. They tried to kind of keep the same in there, but I just couldn't do it. I mean, I watched it, I gave it a shot, but I just could not dive into that version of Willy Wonka, and I could not dive into that version of the story. I couldn't do it.
I see, this is my thing with it. I like how grounded the original one felt, but I think even though it was over the top, the remake does feel like it's more magical. Or I like the fantasy aspect of it, even though it is over the top.
I mean, there were a couple of things that weren't in the original. Like, what happened to all the characters' tragic situations. And at the very end of that movie, you see them coming, like Veruca Salt, and they had the juicer, and now she's like really long and stretchy, and the kid in the TV. You see all the after effects. That was interesting because they couldn't have duplicated that in the 1960s and 70s when the original Wonka was done.
Yeah.
So I did kind of like that because you had to use your imagination. What happened? Oh, they're gonna have to juice him. What do you mean juice her? What's gonna happen? They're gonna squish her, and so you have to use your imagination in that case. But at the end of that movie, you actually saw what happened to him. I did like that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't feel to me the magic of the movie and the catch to the movie, just the being drawn into it, I just wasn't pulled into it. I didn't feel that draw like I felt in the Gene Wilder version.
Okay.
It just didn't call me.
With that. I
can't do it.
That.
I wanted to. I really wanted to, but I just.
Another thing I did like about him was the soundtrack. I did like even though I came up on the older one, I did like the newest soundtrack better. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I don't know. I did find myself
some of the sequences with the Oompa Loompas were good. Again, granted, we're talking 1970s and 2000 visual effects, so you get a lot more options there to CGI stuff that you really, really couldn't imagine practically back in the 1970s.
Yeah.
But I think that's also what kind of makes the movie more classic to me, is because they didn't have to really go beyond that scope. They didn't have to bring all that extra in there. I mean, what they had is it caught your imagination. It brought you into the story.
Yeah, because you're right though. Like I said, the new one was over the top. Like stuff that was happening on there. It was like, what?
Yeah, and people were like, looking at it, and I think they were really getting into it, and they wanted to see more. A lot of people can't go with the older style movies because it just doesn't seem like it brings everything to them.
Yeah.
They're expecting to see more and experience more, and they don't want to use their imagination as much. They just want to see it there and let it happen. And I like being able to draw in my imagination and my own personal creativity, and sometimes into the movies.
Yeah.
So, everybody's now kind of like we want an instant fix on a movie.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I wanted to ask you about the Poltergeist remake, but I didn't see it yet. Have you seen
I
it?
I have horror movies. Unfortunately, are not my gig. Sometimes, I
Well,
mean, like Aliens, I jump into because it's a science fiction more style.
yeah,
But my other half is the department of the horror movies. And now that I know they watched the Poltergeist the other day, the newest one, and it
yeah,
scared the bejeebies out of them because I'm upstairs in the second part of my house, and I could hear them downstairs screaming. So I know that the new one had a lot of they make tribute to a lot of the things in there, the original movies from the 80s, but they bumped it up a way huge notch. And in something like that, you can take that extra step to really scare the bejeebies out of you.
yeah.
And they definitely took it because I've never heard them scream that much in a movie because they were all down there. Ah! It was like crazy. But, there's just, you got to have the. I was trying to think of that other movie. I was just blowing through my brain because I was ended up crossing TV series and movies like 12 Monkeys just ringing in my head. When you watch the movie and then you got the TV series now.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that we also redid
Uh,
the what was that other movie I was just looking at?
You know what? Since we talk about remakes, are we going to extend that to movies that were adapted in a TV series?
Well, you can hit anywhere you want.
Have you seen the Dust Till Dawn? From Dust Till Dawn?
The original and then the
Yeah,
TV series. And even though the TV series kind of redid the story a little bit, but carried on with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched one or two of the episodes, but I didn't feel the same twist in there that I did with the live series or the movies. Actually, there was two movies, I believe.
No, it was three.
There was three. I definitely didn't see the third one. But yeah, the allure of the bar and
Yeah,
everybody getting
I
viciously
did.
killed.
I did like the series. I did like the series better because it gave so much exposition.
Exactly, and that's the kind of neat thing. It's just like I was just talking 12 Monkeys. We saw the original. I saw the original movie, and then it kind of got my interest. I'm like, wow, that's kind of that's some deep stuff. And then they brought out the
Oh, and they
TV
came out with that
series
series too.
on Sci-Fi, and it brings you into a whole new ball game. There's they extended that
Okay,
story way out there.
I've been
So
wanting to see that too. I've been actually interested in
I
watching that
watched
too.
the first season. I had the second season on DVR, and the DVR took a dump. But I had the second season on the DVR, and I've been reading the stories because somebody downstairs likes to record cartoons that happen all the time. So my DVR got so full that I pretty much had to Zork it to clear it out to get it back and running again. So all my cool shows I have been recording, months and months of recording, gone. Not cool. Not cool at all. But they bring a lot into the series. I was trying to think of some other ones. My brain is just running all over the place in TV series. TVs, movies, reboots. So we talked about Spider-Man in our earlier runs. We talked about Batman in our earlier runs. Superman's been in our
Hey,
earlier
actually,
runs.
this too. Now we're talking about since we're on the superhero bit right now. What did you think about the Fantastic Four movies?
I did not like the second one. Let me phrase that. The newest one. I was not into
Yeah,
that one. To me, well, capturing the Fantastic Four in a storyline, they did a good job in the first few movies. Ben Grimm looked like the Thing right off. Johnny Storm, right off. Von Doom was okay, but I'm a big bad guy liker, and I liked his appearance, but I did not like his ability. That was just wrong. They
I didn't
changed him
mind
up.
his ability, but I didn't like the way he looked.
Well, the
Because
mask that was in the case in
yeah,
that movie was like the original, but the one that they adopted for him to wear was not. And
yeah,
um,
yeah. I'm like, you got the mask, but you shouldn't have really brought the mask out because you know it should go with the outfit or whatever.
Yeah,
But
I
you
mean,
don't have the outfit.
when I
You
see
got the
Von
mask.
Doom, I'm thinking the classical armor, the green cloak, the heavy belt. You know, he's a super mega genius. He's rival with Mr. Fantastic. I mean, they're brain for brain. He's
Yeah.
just more careless, and that's how he ended up getting disfigured in the first place. You know, he was doing an experiment that he told him, "Don't do it. You're going to mess up," and he did it anyway, and it disfigured his face. And so he was ashamed, and then he ended up, you know, because Doom and also strangely Doctor Strange run into the same run.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
And this is why I didn't mind Von Doom's in either movie the way his origin was, because there was no mention of magic. It like wasn't established yet.
No, they
You
didn't.
know, all of
But he didn't even get his armor until
yeah,
after
and
the
that
magic part.
like yeah, but like all of that stuff would have been if they would have put that in the movie, it would have been like left field. It's
Well,
like,
yeah,
okay,
I
where
mean,
the hell did he get this armor from?
well,
Where did he get this magic from? Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would have to. I mean, I would like to see a crossover once we see Strange come out here in like 2 weeks or 2 weeks. Once Strange comes out,
Yeah,
I would
and
really
then
like
Von
to
Doom,
see a Von Doom tie-in. I
yeah,
would love to see it.
makes sense. That would make sense then. But you
Yeah.
can't have a movie where it's just like 100% science, and then like at the last 15-20 minutes of the movie,
Throw the
magic just
magic in
shows
there.
up.
And I agree with you on that one. I just, to me, I you know, they kind of retold the story a little bit. We know that they got through a cosmic string and they got their abilities, and you know, and the way they built up the first story was great. The second one came out, was okay. It was all right. Fantastic Four wise, I mean, you know, Silver Surfer and Galactus. Sadly, though, I would have liked to see Galactus as a figure
Yeah,
versus a smoke cloud going across Jupiter.
I didn't mind that because, and this is why I didn't mind it. I never liked Galactus' look, but this is like one of those times, like when you bring something to the big screen, it's not going to necessarily you know, do it well on scene if it looks exactly like it does in comic.
They took a lot of creative license with that one, and it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
I liked it that they showed when you saw Jupiter, you actually saw what looked like Galactus's head. If you pay attention,
yeah, I did see that. I did see that.
You know, they did pay homage to that fact in there, and then you had the Galactus character. But then we come to the third series, or the third complete reboot / remake.
Yeah,
Whole different storyline, whole different creation point. I mean, just like a whole, what the hell?
honestly, that movie wasn't as bad as I thought it was. When I went back and watched it, and this is why I say that, because the origins, the whole origin of it, how they got their powers, the whole interdimensional travel, as well as like the government being involved and stuff, like in the military. Like I like that aspect of it.
Well, it brought a different twist to the story. You know, you end up seeing Ben Grimm.
Oh, hold on one second. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second.
As we pause for a musical interlude.
Hey, sweetheart. Is this like an emergency?
Yes, baby, it's an emergency.
I said, is this like an emergency, or you just calling to check up on me and Ken in the middle of a podcast? All right, then close out the dryer. Oh, you're right. You're right. I'll call you back. I'm gonna try my best not to forget to take those clothes out the dryer, folks.
I'll remind you before we close to take the clothes out the dryer. That's my Sunday gig.
But yeah, as we were saying about the Fantastic Four, I didn't mind it because I liked the premise of it, well, even though execution was off.
Well, it was kind of interesting how they tied in the different characters' abilities with different things that happened to them.
Yes.
You know, like you had the pods, like one got full of rocks, the guy caught on fire. I can't remember exactly what Mr. Fantastic's was. I think just his wouldn't seal right or something.
No, I think his sealed right, but he got hit with the energy, but nothing happened. But I think because I remember the pod had fell on his legs, and he started trying to pull himself, stretching. So I like that, vague things where you're like, I could see it, but I'm not sure what really happened.
Well, I kind of had a flashback to The Fly at that point.
Yeah.
Where the fly got trapped in there and mixed with him genetically. Kind of the same concept here. We had, somebody was on fire, somebody had rocks, somebody ended up getting stretchy. And of course, when the pod arrived, it hit Sue Storm and hit her with
that energy
out of it, and it changed her to the ability of invisibility and shielding. So, and then Von Doom fell into goop and became, I guess, symbiotic with the goop.
You felt that good stuff.
Yeah, you got some good green stuff going on. But, and then him coming back to the real world when they finally showed back up again, like a year later, I think it was. Yeah. And him coming back pretty much just to exact his revenge on being left behind, but then he had this, like, you guys are tearing up your planet and I'm going to stop you kind of thing. No go there. Yeah. This whole was done.
Yeah.
I couldn't go with it.
Maybe if he would have been mad that, like, y'all left me there. You know what I'm saying?
If
maybe
you left me there and then come back and I'm pissed off because you left me there, okay, I'm good with that. We're fine. But now you want to play Green Tree, Save the Planet thing? Thanks for playing, but you just lost me completely in that storyline at that point. Can't do it.
All right. Okay. Now, we ain't cover everything, and I definitely want to come back later on and definitely talk about more remakes and reboots that we should have in mind. But let's jump on to what other movies you would love to see remade or rebooted.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Haven't said, I just said that would be an interesting movie to see.
I've seen so many little pieces, parts. There was of course, the original Disney movie is by far my favorite. I read the book, and I mean, there's still, always translation from book to story, but it's good. But then there were, like, ABC and NBC decided to go out and try their own hand at it, and different Nautiluses, different stories, and of course, some worked, some didn't. But I would really like to see a good 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea restart. Throw it out there.
Okay.
I would like to see. I'm trying to think of something really classically but good movie that would be great to remake. Man, there's so many freaking things in my head. The Bionic Man and Bionic Woman would be interesting.
You know what? I'm gonna go with that too. That actually does sound pretty good.
I mean, we have the technology now to really make it interesting. Cybernetics and all that stuff now. I mean, before there was just to talk about, but now we actually have the ability to do some of this stuff. So, I mean, it would be very interesting to see a Bionic Man, Bionic Woman type series, either a TV series or... Actually, you know what? They did do a TV series. There was a Bionic Woman they reimaged.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. I did watch.
And it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all. It was still early, but they killed it too early. I think they could have really stepped it up a little bit and done something with it. But that would be interesting to see.
I want to see a remake of The Howling.
Ooh.
I just recently watched.
You know what? I think actually your wish may be granted because I think I saw something earlier that is on the remake chart. Somewhere I ran across that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching that. I wouldn't mind watching it. I wouldn't.
The Black Hole.
I would. I was going to say The Creature from the Black Lagoon, but they're already supposedly remaking it.
Yeah, that's on the list too. And I think I saw The Black Hole on there earlier. That's what kind of toggled my brain to remember it.
Yeah.
But I like the original. I mean, I was, caught up in that movie back when I saw it in the theater. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? Maximilian and Bob and all this stuff, and the guy was a nut job, and I mean, it was like awesome. I mean, I was so into that movie. I mean, just even visually speaking, now it's still freaking awesome looking at it, and I would really like to see a very modernized reimaging of that. Would be very, very cool.
You know what? I would definitely want to see a remake of the Blob.
The which one?
Blob.
You're pixelating on me. It's kind of hard to hear you.
I'm sorry. I want to see a remake of the Blob.
Oh, yes, yes. That classic movie, and then they did a remake.
Remake was real good.
Yeah. A good reimaging, add a little extra story to that.
Yeah.
That'd be very cool. Good classic horror movie. Give it the classic horror movie feel, but with a modern day look.
Yeah.
It'd be really trippy.
And I know we got the graphics with the CGI and stuff, but there'd be one of the movies. Okay, mix CGI with practical.
Yes,
don't make it.
You have to with that movie. You would have to make it worthwhile. I mean, you had was it 1958 was the original. 1988 they remade it, which it did have a lot of practical. Mostly actually that movie was all practical with some animation in it. But that would be really cool to see come up as a good storyline. Did you ever watch a series called Dark Skies?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
That's one that would make a very either trippy movie or a nice rebooted TV series. That was some creepy stuff going on in there. You know, it does have a little bit of alien invasion, a little bit X-Files mystique to it, but it was one of those like, what's going to happen next week? Let's see what's going on. One of those series, and it would be great to modernize that one now. It would be a good series to watch. I like to see what's the other one I would like to see? The Island? No, is it The Island? I think it's called The Island.
You talking about the one with Ewan McGregor where they were like clones and stuff?
Well, that I think it has the same name, but not exactly what I was thinking. Hang on, it's TV literature for you people. TV literature. I think it's actually called Mysterious Island.
Is that the one with Dr. Monroe?
No, that's actually the continuation, of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And It's actually these people end up washing up on an island, and they keep getting helped and stuff by some mysterious force. There was a TV movie done with it, which was okay, but I would like to see a more modernized reimage of that one. Would be very good. Because you had Nemo, what happened to Nemo after 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, what happened to the Nautilus, and Carry On. And it was a great, I mean, for most of the thing, you don't really know what's going on until the very end. And it's like, whoa, what? So it kind of gives you a conclusion to the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and gives you a story to carry on with. I kind of like the classic stories being reimaged. Like, a good Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde movie would be good, too.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I mean, I think they had one this year or last year.
Well, they brought Hyde and Jekyll back in from the Extraordinary Gentleman movie.
I did like those.
I liked that movie, and I would love to see another continuation. I actually own the comic of the first series. I ordered it because I was like, what they didn't show you a lot in the movie, you read in the comic, which extends that story a lot, and it's really cool. And how they caught Hyde was really cool.
I think that's one of the shows they should have made a television series of.
There is rumor of that happening. I ran across it on one of my sci-fi things I was reading that they are talking about bringing the League to a TV series, a weekly TV series. So I don't know how soon it was, but it would definitely be something worthwhile to watch, because if you like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, you like the concept of bringing all these historical characters together and putting them in, adventures that's going on. It kind of reminds me of like Once Upon a Time too, where you have all the storybook characters, the Disney characters being put together in modern, and then you flash back to when they were a story character. You could do the same thing with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but it's all historical figures.
Yeah. Hey, okay, this is one remake I want, a reboot I want to get your honest opinion on. And I know, and we ain't got that much time. We got a couple more minutes left. But what did you think? I don't even know if you've seen it, about the Ghostbusters reboot.
All right, I did see the Ghostbusters just recently. Lucky for you. Okay, all right. New Ghostbusters, I had absolute no desire to watch.
Mm-hmm.
None. Zero. I did not want to see it because I just didn't feel like I wanted to ruin the series. I watched it open-mindedly, and it was an okay movie. I did like the upgraded visuals. I did like some of the sideline comedy. The story was so-so. I did like the tie-in of all the other characters from the original series. And then it was kind of very interesting seeing the perspective of the new four. You know, you had each of your characters. You know, you had an Egon. I can't think of her name now, the comedian. She was kind of way out there. She looked like Egon and was the smart one like Egon, but kind of out in left field, more comedic character, not as serious as in the originals.
Oh, Melissa McCarthy?
No.
The other chick.
SNL girl.
I know you're talking about. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
She played the Egon character.
Yeah, she was crazy.
And she was really crazy. But that kind of was interesting. I thought it was interesting how she developed the technology and all the little things. I liked them trying out their weapons. You know, they had a lot of different objects this time instead of just the pulse cannon and things they've used before. It was okay. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. I mean, I really had a downfall pit in that one. Yeah. But I liked the visuals. Some of the ghosts in there were pretty freaking creepy.
Yeah.
And how things went. But it still had the comedy edge into it, which I do like. That's why the humor that I found in the first one.
Yeah.
So I would give it an okay. It's okay to watch. I wouldn't have paid for it to see it in the movie. I would rent it as a DVD, me personally. But it was okay. I mean, I could even tolerate watching it again. That gives you an idea, because I'm one of those people. If I don't like it, I'll never watch it again. So yeah, I would watch it again.
I admit I was interested to see how they was going to take it, but what direction they were going to go with, and I was pretty surprised. And one of the things that I did like that was more prominent and prevalent in this film compared to the older ones was not only how they developed the technology, but like how like the government and how the government and society kind of viewed them. They did put some exposition on that, and I did really appreciate that when it came to that movie.
I think it was funny with the city government was really cracking me up. You guys, we thank you for your help, but in public we can't acknowledge that. They're a bunch of crazy people. That was funny. I got a kick out of that.
And this one thing I never understood about the original Ghostbusters, which this movie did address. In the original Ghostbusters, ghosts weren't like, they were real, but they weren't real. Ghosts just start showing up out of nowhere. But in this movie, the ghosts weren't real. But in this movie, ghosts weren't real. The dude started making the ghosts appear.
Yeah, he was using technology to bring about his own apocalypse, basically, and rule the world. That was interesting. Yeah. I like that aspect of the story. How he was, stimulating the ley lines and stuff.
Character, because he was too flat.
Maybe he was only a short character.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would have liked it better if they would have said, I mean, it would have been cliche, but I would have liked it better if he'd have said something like, along the lines of, well, I did this to try to bring my dead son back or my dead wife back or something like that. And then it evolves to him being like, okay, I'm going to take over the world.
I'll make you all
pay.
That
gave you a bit of a balanced character. But he was like, well, I think I'm better than everybody, so I'm just going to kill myself and then try to take over the world with ghosts. I was like, wow, really?
What?
But
where'd that come from? Those guys must have been like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon smoking a bunch of weed making movies.
Okay, we gotta kind of. It's about that time, man.
It's about time for you to handle that
We're gonna
laundry now.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely come back to more discussion about movie remakes and stuff and reboots, and hopefully we can get Zach with us. But he just bought freaking Battlefield 1, and I can't hate on him for wanting to play that right now.
Video games. Where's your priorities at, people? Where's your priorities at?
But yeah, thank you guys for enjoying another one. I'll break it the base when we talk about movie remakes and reboots. It's kind of everywhere, but hey, we was hitting on things. Like I said, we're gonna come back definitely. Movies, be more specific with the genre, so that way we can get in more depth conversation. Any last words, Ken?
Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us comments. Check us every week because we like to hear from you. And maybe we can take a suggestion from somebody who makes a posting in there. We can set that up for one of our shows.
Yeah, like don't be afraid to go ahead and shoot us an email. Like I said, I know it takes a while to go ahead and build like that, but persistence and good quality and good kind do.
Always works for me.
But all right, then, guys, we greatly appreciate you checking out the video. Remember, stay cool. Narik and Ken out of here.